Personally, I find it very, very hard to sell an investment. What is the framework you use?
Yeah, first, I would acknowledge what you said. I think selling is very, very difficult. Selling can be easy when you see that the investment thesis is not working. Like before you invest, you should ideally have investment thesis, your reason why you want to be a part owner of this business, why you're buying, for example, into the stock. And if you find out this thesis is not what is unfolding, or the business is not performing according to your expectations, you could say, that's a clear reason to sell. But it becomes difficult because usually when that happens, then the stock price has also gone down by then, because you're not the only one who's observing that. So then it becomes difficult because you're like, okay, I actually would have sold it, but now it's 30% cheaper down. Margin and for that price, it's still a good business, right? So it becomes still difficult. The only concept that I have for selling is really that of opportunity cost. So that means reevaluating your investment cases, your investment thesis all the time, looking at what you believe now the future will hold. How has the moat of the business, the competitive advantage of business, has it narrowed, has it widened? What does it mean for the business? What do you think the business is worth today versus where it's valued at in the market, what its price is? And how does that look relative to all the other opportunities that are out there? These may be things that you already have invested in or in your portfolio, or you might consider, right? And then it's just a judgment call to say, am I better off selling this business and increasing another business that I'm invested in, or taking into a new investment candidate and investing in that? At the end of the day, it's a judgment call, and it's a difficult judgment call.
Now, what could change is either you're wrong about something intrinsic that you could have foreseen, basically in the business itself.
Yeah.
But then the business has an ecosystem it operates in. So the reality of the situation might have changed.
Absolutely.
Which you could not have foreseen. And you don't have a place where you say like, okay, I'm going to sell now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially for people who do a deep analysis before they invest. Because you did the homework, you usually don't invest in a very poor business. There are different grades of quality in the business, but you also take that into consideration with the price that you're willing to. And if it's a very high quality company, we talked about that when we talked about margin of safety, you're willing to pay a higher price. And if it's a lower quality business, you demand a very high margin of safety. You want to buy it very cheaply. In either case, you have an investment case, right, that you think is going to work out. And it's difficult to sell because when things haven't worked out, the stock price has probably also gone negatively, and you're like, okay, but now maybe it's not that bad. So, and you always have this opportunity cost. Okay, if I sell it now and then invest in something else, it might recover, right? And so that is just very difficult. The only one thing that is that I tend to stick to the businesses that I understand better. So the price that I'm willing to pay for a business has become less critical. It's still important, but relative to the quality of the business and my understanding of that quality of the business, I have all weighted towards my understanding. So if I have 10 companies and I need to get rid of one because I want to invest in my better idea, then I will pick the businesses that I understand better, because there I think the probability of making a mistake is lower, even if I pay a higher price, than with another business where I'm like, okay, I think I understand it, but I don't understand it as well as this company, right? Even if it's cheaper, I'm more likely to sell that one where I have the lower level of understanding. Actually, something that I see a lot of investors, a lot of times they think they have to make the money the way they lost it. So if they bought the stock at 50 and it's now at 20, they're like, okay, whenever it gets back to 50, I will sell it. But those $20, you might be much better off selling something at a loss, taking those 20 and investing in something that is going to become 80, right? So you don't have to make your money back the way you lost it, right? You at any point in time, you should say, okay, what is something worth, and what can I get for it, and what are my opportunities?
Frequently, when I have made a sell decision, the stock has gone up a lot afterwards, and I would have rather better of not selling. This happened to me with Apple. This happened to me with Alibaba, and I think you have also spoken about it with Amazon,
yes,
and Meta and Apple.
Yeah, I mean, I've had both situations. I mean, I have situations where I feel like, okay, as soon as I sell it, it recovers and goes up. But I've also had situations where the opportunity to invest in something else was better. Hindsight is always 2020, and all we deal with in investing is the future, where we don't have any hindsight. So the only thing you can do is use your best unemotional judgment. In investing, there's also a big chunk of luck involved. Sometimes just something recovers and then falls back again. Like, oh, if I had held it, So I think we just have to look at those decisions and see, was there something that you overlooked? Did you act out of emotion because you were now impatient because this business did never? For 5 years you were waiting for it to recover, it never did, and you sold it and then it recovered. What you learned from that for the future, I think. But that's also the good thing. I mean, you learn much more from your mistakes than from your successes. So it's always good to look at every decision that you made and say, how did it turn out? Why did it turn out that way? And that's the other thing. I mean, there's not always a lesson. In the stock market, there's also irrational things happen.
And always learn the wrong lesson. That's always a possibility.
Possible. Yeah.
So, like with this framework of selling, let's come to Meta. I started buying Meta after the Cambridge Analytica scandal hit, and then the stock went, I think, to 180 at that point. Then it went up, then it went down to 100. I could have done some options, but I decided not to do it. It went all the way to 700. The quantitative aspect of it, like this is stock going up and down, and then you're looking at constantly the business, and there's things going on with the business too, right? Yeah. It's not has been a smooth ride.
Yeah.
How do you distinguish basically the stock price and the business performance? How do you make the decision? Okay, I should maybe add more here at this point, or maybe I should decide on selling.
I could ask you the same question because you're also invested. But since you asked me, I mean, I think to me it comes down to how well do I understand the business, right? When the stock goes through the ups and downs, you get evaluated, right?
Right.
Do you really understand the business, and can you withstand the ups and downs, or are you like, do you realize, oh, maybe I don't understand the business so much, and the stock price movement is telling me something, right? The same thing with the business. I mean, you have the stock going up and down, but also the business goes up and down, right? And when that happens, I think we are being evaluated as investors and as owners. Do we understand the business well enough, or do we realize, hey, we thought we understand it, we don't understand it so well, so we should maybe find something that we understand better. When it comes to Meta, I actually think the ups and downs in the business tells you that the business has a lot of resilience, right? Because otherwise it will go down and out. The fact that it went down and came back up means that there's something there. There's a recovery mechanism, there's a strength in the competitive position, a moat that allows them to come back. So that to me reinforces that it's a high quality business. And the reason why I own Meta is I invest in companies that, I mean, these companies are called tech companies. Now they're called the Magnificent Seven. I mean, there's a lot of abbreviations. But if a business is only reliant on technology, I tend to stay away, because technology is something that is volatile, that changes a lot. There's a lot of disruption and a lot of innovation. And a lot of people think, you should go where the innovation is. That's where the money is made. I actually completely disagree. Where things change a lot, it's very hard to become very good.
I mean, it takes time to build a moat, right?
Yeah, and you have to reinvent yourself. Just when you got your footing, something disrupts you again. So then you have to do it again. Whereas in things where you have stability, now you can say, okay, what's not going to change? I understand that. Now I'm going to double down my strategy on that and really become strong. So I stay away from tech companies, and the reason why I'm invested in a company like Meta is because I don't think their competitive advantage is the technology. There are other factors that make me believe they have moats that protect the business. So one of those things is the scale that the company has, right? If you look at it, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg went from one dorm to his college, then he went from one college to across colleges. Now they have 3.6 billion daily active users across all their apps. You take out children below 10 years and people above 80 years, maybe, then you have like, I don't know, 75% of the population of the planet. So this enormous scale that they have is, to me, an enormous competitive advantage that allows them to not always have to be the first mover in something. Like if somebody else comes and has a great idea, they can either say, okay, we can take you from 5 million users to 1 billion users. And if you want to do it on your own, you can, but it's very difficult. With us, you can. Much easier. Or they can say, this is a really good idea. We're going to copy it and also offer it. And if you think about businesses, like I'm running a business at Richtwert, right? If I had 3.6 billion customers who would use me multiple times a day, one of my services, I think I would find ideas to make money with these repeat interactions, right? And when I look at the track record of Zuckerberg, I think he has found a lot of ideas, and I think he will find more ideas in the future. So it's that. And there's so many other competitive advantages that this company has, like network effects. The fact that there's a lot of users means a lot of content is there because the content wants to be seen by users, and the users go where the content is. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of businesses go there to build their brands. And there are, I think, more than 200 million businesses worldwide that have a presence on one of Meta's apps. And it's very, very hard to take that away. I actually thought that TikTok is something that could not happen. And it happened because they came up with short video. And I was surprised that companies like Google and Meta or Facebook didn't copy them fast enough. But at the same time, I'm happy to see that installed base of captive users that habitually use their apps allowed them to come back and become a dominant player also in the short video format.
Let's talk a little bit about Zuckerberg. So he built Facebook. Mm-hmm. The other two apps were acquisitions. The greatest thing he has done is not really build Facebook, but basically acquire opportunistically these companies. Given the scale now, it's very, very hard for him to acquire new top-level businesses like that.
I don't agree with that the talent is acquiring, because, let's start with Facebook. When Facebook started, there were also other social media platforms that could have become Facebook and reached a billion users. The fact that Facebook did it, I don't think it was just pure luck. I think it was the way he built the business and made Facebook large. So I think, one, he is a builder. I don't think he's just an acquirer. You have to also think, where to invest your money and what to do that. So acquiring businesses or investing in your own business, whatever it is, capital allocation is very important. And the fact that a builder like Mark Zuckerberg is also a great capital allocator, I think is an added benefit. You are right that Facebook is so large that it's very hard for them to keep just adding businesses and acquiring more businesses. They bought these businesses when they were still small relative to what they are. Instagram was nowhere. I think they had like 50 million users or something like that, and now they have more than 2 billion users, right? So they bought them at small scales. They're still buying small businesses, very small business, more on the technology side and idea side and talent side than actually established platforms. but they don't need to buy established platforms because they have this captive user base. So whatever idea they find, if they can buy something small, the probability of them being able to scale that to billion users is much higher than in the business that is starting on their own. So I think that that benefit is still there. And also we should not forget, I mean, we don't know how successful Instagram would have been on its own. I think a lot of times founders sell their business to one of these large companies and they're like, they ruined it and I would have done it much better and so forth. But that's easy to say if you have, 20 million users and it becomes 2 billion users, to say, I would have done it even better. I'm not sure that that's always the case. So I think there's a lot of building also when you acquire a business that you have to do. You have to integrate it. You have to get the team involved, and you have to make a lot of decisions to take the business to there. But I think one of where you are absolutely right, where I agree with you, is that one of the competitive advantages of Meta is scaling ideas. I think they do that better than almost anyone else. They take something and like, okay, how do we take this so that a lot of users want to use it often and so forth, and then they think about how they can monetize it. But
there was a very, very large and continuing investment in Metaverse. There was a pivot to the SOTA AI models. Definitely Metaverse has been very tricky and might not have been a great investment for Meta. How do you think about these two from the capital allocation perspective?
Yeah. Well, I think the capital allocation decisions are optional. And when they see that the investment thesis is not working out, just as you and I as investors have to do this call, they can say, okay, this isn't working, we're going to stop. So that's what I mean by optional. To me, it's and I would trust somebody like Mark Zuckerberg with that decision because of the track record he has. I believe when he sees something's not working out, he's going to pivot, as he now did somewhat from Metaverse. He hasn't gone away from the Metaverse completely, but somewhat, definitely shifted capital allocation towards AI because I think he rightly saw that AI is going to bear fruit much faster than the Metaverse is. And I believe he's going to come back to the Metaverse when it's opportune to do so again. So I see these investments as optional investments. Because of the understanding that I have of the businesses where I invest, I also trust them to make those pivots and those decisions. And I think he has done so. And out of the Metaverse investments, it's also interesting to see came now these glasses that Meta has, and they're getting
they're pretty good. I tried one during the vacation.
They're getting very, very good reviews. And now with AI, they're becoming even more useful. So I don't think all the Metaverse investments were, burning just suitcases of money. I think there are benefits that are coming out of it. And one of the things that Meta has always struggled with is they never had their own platform. They were always an app, an ecosystem on top of a platform, Android and iOS. And because of that, they were always reliant on these underlying operating systems to allow them to innovate the way they wanted. And I think that's something that Zuckerberg doesn't like. It's like, okay, I have ideas, we have ideas, we want to push the product this way, but then we're being told that, no, we don't like that approach, you can't go that way. So I think part of his investments that he's doing, he's willing to throw money at it to be able to establish a platform and operating system of his own to be able to innovate better. Now, that's very hard to do, but if it can be achieved, then I think it's worthwhile trying. And maybe they have a shot at it with the glasses. We will see. I think now Apple has said, it's been rumored for a long time that Apple is going to come out with glasses as well. And you mentioned, the learning steps, right? Yeah. You have to do first, get to level 1, level 2, level 3. Apple is a very formidable competitor. I think we're going to find out at which level they are when they come out with glasses. Or if all the investments that Meta has done has given them maybe a year or two of advantage, because they're working on multiple releases of glasses at the same time. So they're right now working on the glasses that are going to come out in 3-4 years. And we'll see if they have an advantage that is big enough to create a platform or to be dominant, at least enough to be able to coexist with the iOS and the Android platforms.
It fell 75%, went all the way to 100. I actually told one of my friends to remortgage his house and buy Meta. I did not buy it, and I think you have also spoken about not putting more money at that point. Or do you say, okay, I have to learn something on the buying, selling strategy, and maybe I should have started with certain position. When it fell down like this, I should have bought some more, and so on.
At $200, I gave an interview why I think it's a great investment to invest in, and then it went down all the way to 100 3 months later.
Right.
Yeah, and so I did add more, but I wish I had done much more than that. There were two reasons why I didn't invest much more heavily in Meta. One was there were genuine business challenges back then that I didn't have the conviction, let's say a 90% conviction or more, that the business would.
This is Apple ID tracking, device ID.
For example,
right?
The Apple ID tracking, that their ability to target became much worse. Advertising, not only advertising, also content, which is also important for the stickiness of the user behavior. So the targeting became suddenly much worse, and also the ability to measure and go back to an advertiser and say, we did this for you and this is the business result you got, that also got better. So that degraded the quality of the business very much. And at that point, I was not sure, and I think even Meta's management was not sure how they're going to go back. I mean, to some extent, they also had luck that AI was developed at the same time, that they had now algorithms and machine learning to do that. I don't think it was a given that you could study and like, oh, obviously they're going to get there. I wasn't there, at least, and I was like, okay, I do think the quality of the business has come down. The stock has come down even more. I still think it's a very good business. I'm going to invest more. But I was not sure of the success that Meta had, that it would have that success. I was like, okay, now I think it's going to become a lower quality business. That was one. The other thing is TikTok came out of nowhere, and by that time had almost reached, I think, 1 billion users or something like that, or 700, 800 million. Yeah, to me, it was a very big surprise that the company, an app, could come and suddenly conquer so much, with companies like Google having all these users and Meta having all these users. So the duopoly between Google and Meta suddenly wasn't a duopoly anymore. There were other players in there. And I didn't know how fast the market is going to expand, right? Because, I mean, right now, Meta and Google are still not a duopoly. There are many more players in the market. Amazon is there, Apple is there in advertising, TikTok is there. So it was these two very large factors that I thought, Meta is still a very good business, but not as good as it was if it had acted faster, or if it invents something that is going to allow to target better and to measure the results of the advertising. So that was one reason with two factors. And the other reason was that a lot of other businesses that I really liked had also come down a lot. So I didn't want to sell them to invest more in Meta. Now, with hindsight, Meta recovered much better than many of other businesses that you could think of. And I just don't know that was knowable back then. And I did the best with the information that I had and the judgment that I had.
If I look at Facebook app, what I see is like this Facebook was, and let's say 10 years or so, it was very useful. The marketplace was useful. Like I was going there and checking my friends, what they're doing and everything. Now when I go, it just looks like a graveyard. It looks like it's being harvested for ads and money.
I don't believe it's going to go away, Facebook, because to me it serves a different purpose. I mean, I use WhatsApp, I use Instagram, I use Facebook. And for example, between Instagram and Facebook, my usage is very different, right? And Facebook, I go there, I have all the friends there that are still on that platform. Some of them, especially in Europe, don't want to be on Instagram or are there in incognito or something like that. You can't really communicate with them. But when I go to Facebook, they're there. I'm reminded of their birthdays. They put some updates of their pets or children and things like that. So it's useful still in that sense to me. The algorithm has become pretty good. I mean, I'm, for example, interested in table tennis and fitness and these kind of things, and I get very good content. I mean, when I go to Facebook, I'm stuck for 45 minutes, so I have to force myself out of it because the algorithm is actually pretty good. The advertising is the targeting fits what I'm looking for. And then there's a marketplace. Marketplace has more than 1 billion users that use it regularly. And depending on the market where you are, there are some alternatives, but marketplace is still doing very well. I sell a lot of products and buy things.
I had to move my apartment 1 year ago, and I had 2 things that I wanted to get rid of very quickly, and I posted on marketplace for free, and it went out in like a day. Otherwise, I would have to kind of spend money to throw it away.
No, it's still, and there's also the group function of Facebook is still very much used. I think it has also clearly more than 1 billion users. And Facebook itself has the latest statistic that I have has more than 2 billion daily active users. So it's not a platform in decline. It is a platform that is matured, but still has an enormous user base. And the other statistic that I saw is the average user gets onto Facebook 6 to 8 times a day. So clearly, some people see some value of returning to the app and using it, and I think they will also adapt. I mean, as soon as they see that people are not using Facebook anymore, just as they adapted from more text to video also on Facebook, I think they will adapt there as well. And who knows, maybe in a few years they will merge the 2 platforms together. But right now, I think they're getting more value out of it because the use cases are different. On Instagram, you're presenting your image, and and Facebook is like a little bit more like what happened in your life and things like that, and also the utility functions that we use. So but if I see that 1 leg of the 3 legs are falling away, then I would reevaluate how much I value the business at versus when I see all legs and cylinders are firing.
Like what kind of apps are cool, what people use, and there is this generational thing involved there. Like people were using MySpace, they went to Facebook. At some point, Snapchat was super famous, and it still is famous. It's kind of a lot of people still use it. Then you had TikTok. Now Facebook is not really front and center. Insta is the one which is kind of driving a lot of usage. YouTube is doing very well. There is sort of some newness, and like new people use things differently. And I'm always like in this, like in 10 years, I'm very hard for me to kind of see, okay, how do I get confidence that 10 years people will be using the same set of apps, right? How do you think about the generational changes that happen? And
well, I mean, the question is, like, for example, TikTok has the very young user base, right? They use that more than any other app and spend a lot of time there. Now the question is, if the younger audience is there, does that mean that once the older generation dies out, this younger generation stays with TikTok and does it? Or is the use case such that if this younger generation that is TikTok users now, if they get a little bit older, 10 years older, 20 years older, their use scenarios also change, and then they go towards something that is more like Facebook or Instagram? That's possible, right? I don't think that question has been definitely answered yet. I don't think
this everything is within 20 years old, more or less.
Yeah. And right now, what I do like about the competitive position of Meta is that these apps, they serve different purposes, right? Even within the Meta family, like Instagram is more picture and video oriented, and Facebook has text. I mean, on Instagram, you almost have no text, right? And on TikTok, you only have videos. Like you only have short videos, right? But is that the only use case that people have? I mean, are you going to consume, 20 hours out of your 24 hours just watching videos? video is the predominant factor, but I think text isn't going away, images aren't going away, and at some point virtual reality or augmented reality are going to come. These are all media format, media occasions that are going to continue to exist, and we still have books, right? Yes, people watch more Netflix than they read books, but books still exist, and
radios are doing quite well.
Radios, the audio is doing well. So I think the fact that these apps are targeting different use cases makes me actually more comfortable in their durability, as where if they would all merge into one, if TikTok now started also doing text and images, then that would worry me more, maybe about TikTok than about Meta, because there I think they're already established. But yeah, so the different use cases give me confidence that these things will have longer duration.
One of the things that happens when my portfolio falls a lot is the emotional aspect of it. Look at like your kids and you're like, hey, it's, you know, they have, you know, 35% less than what I had, like, I don't know, 6 months ago.
I have learned over the years that what the market tells me is just another opinion. So I don't feel richer if my portfolio goes up 50% a year or 60% a year. And on the contrary, I also don't feel poorer if my portfolio halves within 3 months, because it's just another opinion. I know that what at the end of the day, what's important is what the businesses are going to be worth in the mid and long term. So if my portfolio is 10 million, 100 million, and suddenly the market says it's only 50 million, I don't feel like I lost 50 million. But that also has to do with the fact that I believe that I understand the businesses. So just because the market says, oh, what you thought the value is only half of it, or maybe only 10% of it, I'm like, okay, that's another opinion. I will reanalyze and see if I made a mistake. If I made a mistake, of course, then I'm like, okay, this wasn't good. I lost money. What do I learn from it? That hurts. But if I do the analysis and I'm like, okay, but the market just says it's opinion, but my facts and my reasoning tell me something different, I don't feel poor. Actually, if you talk to my partner, she will tell you that when my portfolio goes down, I become cheerful. So yeah, I mean, of course, it's much better if it goes down and then you have capital to deploy and you can double down. Then that's the absolute euphoria. But even if we can't, and that's something I also tell to my partners, it's counterintuitive, but that doesn't mean it's not right. I actually wrote a piece about it. It's like a one page of why you should hope that your stocks go down. Because if you think about it, I mean, if you own a business and you know what it's worth, right? And now, let's say you have a partner that is the two of you own the business, right? And this partner is the only opinion that is left. It's your opinion, and that because you're the two corners. And the partner is very pessimistic about the business, like, you know, this business isn't what it used to be, and we got somebody's going to come and outcompete us. And you look at it like, nobody's coming to outcompete us, and we're innovating, we're doing this, we're hiring the right talent, we're research and development, and you disagree. And that person is very pessimistic. The other person maybe wants out, then you can buy it at the bargain price. Like, let's say you own 50% of the business, the other person wants to sell you the other 50% at the bargain. In your opinion, you're like, okay, you're helping that person, alleviating their pain because they want out, and you're getting a good deal for yourself. And with strong businesses, if you're invested in strong businesses, three things happen during times of dislocation, right? One is these businesses, they are strong and they can usually continue to invest when others have to pull the handbrake, right? Anti-fragile, right? So they're like, okay, we can't afford to invest in marketing. We can't afford new talent. Maybe we have to let good people go. We can't build that factory now. We have to wait. We can't do R&D. You know, just put the brakes on until, you know, the storm passes and then we come back. If you're in a strong business, they can continue to invest. So by that alone, they increase the difference between themselves and their competitors. That's one. The other thing is maybe there's a very good competitor that now has financial troubles, and the stock price is down and you have money, then you can buy potentially that business and own more of the market. And the third thing is, if you believe your other investors are undervaluing your business, you can buy them out, right? So it's, anybody should, if you know what you're doing and you own good businesses, you should really hope for these times where things go down 50%.
I'm mostly always invested.
Yes.
And then things go down and I don't have the money. I'm employed, so I get some money, but it's not enough to make a difference because I've been investing for the last 15 years. So overall, I feel like, okay, I understand that I could buy more if I had money. Cannot really. Yeah. The only options I have, sell the worst one that I have and then buy the best one I have. Best idea. Yeah. Rebalance inside my portfolio.
Then for me, I also have more ideas than money to invest always. I tell my clients we can invest much more. So most of the times, I also don't have now a lot of spare capital to invest. And I do rebalance when I see that something has become a better risk-reward situation. That's one. But I sleep also well, and I also tell my partners that they can sleep very well because of the reasons that I mentioned, because I think the businesses themselves, they are going to create value for us. So I don't even have to time the market,
They are doing it for you.
Because the strong businesses, they get stronger because others have to pull the brakes. They continue to invest usually. They get ahead further. They buy their competitors. They buy their own stocks. Almost every business that we're invested in at Richtwert is repurchasing their shares. And they're repurchasing their shares because they believe their stocks are undervalued. If they become more undervalued, I look at them, are they repurchasing now more? If they're not, then I want to know why, right? Is it maybe not the right management, or did I misjudge your business? Or in a lot of cases, when the undervaluation becomes more, when there's a crisis, they repurchase more shares. So by that, if you're invested in the right businesses and you know that you have a margin of safety because the business is undervalued, then you automatically gain in these crises. And if you have capital to invest more, that's even better. If you don't, you can sleep well knowing that the business is creating value for you.
Interesting. Basically what you're saying is like you don't really look at the market except when you want to buy something, right?
Yeah. Sometimes things go up and then you're like, okay, now I don't have a margin of safety, or something else offers a much better risk reward. Then you can use the opportunity cost principle and reallocate the capital. But most of the times, if you're in the right businesses, you can let the businesses create value for you, and you don't have to think about, other than, obviously you don't want to overpay for things, right? But you don't have to worry about the ups and downs in geopolitics and things like that.
You have a child, I have kids. How do you think about building the right characteristics in your children or in your child?
I think two things. One is to have the right values, and not to. With the value. One of the values is how you look at money. For me, I look at money as a utility to do something with. It's like a means towards something. Money itself doesn't give me anything. It doesn't matter. I'm not ultra rich, but I also don't have to be. I'm doing well, and I'm going to continue to do well, and I have more than I need, and for a quality life. And if it becomes more, then it's great. But it's really a utility. So I think one is, how do you look at money, and I think there are things that are much more valuable than money, like your time and your health and your relationships, and you should just use money as an enabler. That's one. And the other quality of thought that I would like him to have is to be an independent thinker, to think on his own, be a good listener, listen as much as possible, but then to reason from within with your understanding, and know that everybody has an opinion. Doesn't mean that they're right. Doesn't matter if they're famous or if it's a lot of them, but really to trust his intuition and his facts and his reasoning, and to do what he thinks is right. I think those are the two qualities that I would like him to have. And as far as wealth is concerned, I mean, my mindset has always been not to give a lot of wealth to children, especially not early, but that they know that they have to stand on their own feet, and they are given this gift to, we face challenges in our lives and problems, and have to come to solutions, and solve problems. And I think that is a luxury that allows you to grow. And I would like him to have this gift as well, that he says, I have to make it on my own. And of course I'm going to give him something to start whatever he wants his ambition to be. But I think by giving too much, I would discourage that, and I don't want to do that. So that's maybe the wealth side, but the qualities are those two: have the right values and think for yourself.
Thank you. This was super amazing for you to come and talk to me here. And
likewise, it's talking to a fellow investor that I respect. And thank you for the thoughtful questions, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Thanks.